Hello and welcome to part 1 of this video where I will be showing off Swedish coins from the 17th, 18th and 19th centuries. But not the krona coins, the Swedish crown that was introduced in 1873. That will be in a separate video from 1873 up till today. This will go through the older coinage that exists. But as I said, this is part 1 that mainly deals with the 1800s up till 1873. So on the top row we have silver coins, and in the two bottom rows we have except one, copper or bronze coins. So, like with the British pound, the Swedish currency system was also rather complicated. It wasn't until 1855 that Sweden decimalized their currency. As you can see with this one, this is a 10 öre coin from 1859 with King Oscar. So the main currency in 1855, when the currency was decimalized into 100 öre, was the Riksdaler and that would be translated like the taler of the realm coin or something. Complicated like that. That was the main currency between 1850 something, around the time when the öre was introduced, until the krona came about in 1873. So this is a 10 öre coin, and 10 of these would eventually make up a krona. But at that time in 1859, where that coin is from, that made up one Riksdaler Riksmynt. Of which the denomination of that one went up to 4. So you had a 1 Riksdaler Riksmynt coin, and you had a 2 coin and a 4 coin. And the reason for that was that the 4 coin equaled the earlier Riksdaler Specie coin that existed prior to the 1850s. And this was a large silver coin, around 25 grams, I believe. So when the 1 Riksdaler Specie coin was divided into 4 Riksdaler Riksmynt, the main coin, the 1 coin, was just a fourth of its size. So a fourth the amount of silver in weight. The silver, I believe the silver level was unchanged, I believe, but it was a coin a fourth of the size. Both smaller in diameter, but also a thinner coin. It was a mistake to not include a krona coin, but I can fetch one, but I don't have one from the correct era. Well, but let's take this one. This is a krona coin from 1925. So this is about 7 or 8 grams, of which is 80% silver. This is the standard that was introduced with the krona in 1873. But one Riksdaler Riksmynt is the same, I think the same size and silver level as this one. They just changed the name of the currency back then. But let's move on. So obviously the main coin was a silver coin during this time. But the silver coin was divided into smaller, at least in denomination, copper or bronze coins. Or that's partly the truth, because there were 3 different currencies in Sweden, domestic currencies in Sweden going around at this time, which is why they would switch to the Riksdaler Riksmynt and eventually the krona. So, like I said, there was the Riksdaler Specie, and there were also banknotes that had no coins called Riksdaler Riksgälds, but those stopped being made in the 1830s. And there were also the Riksdaler Banco, which had banknotes and coins. And the Riksdaler Specie, with the Specie edition, was made in the 1830s, meant that that currency only had coins. They were hard metal only. There were no banknotes of the Riksdaler Specie. Yes, this is very complicated. So if you wanted to use banknotes, you would either trade in Riksdaler Riksgälds or in Riksdaler Banco. If you wanted to use coins, you could not use Riksdaler Riksgälds, but you could use Riksdaler Specie or Riksdaler Banco. But the Riksdaler Banco only had bronze and copper coins, and the silver coins would only be in Riksdaler Specie. And yes, all these 3 currencies had different exchange rates to each other. So when the Riksdaler reform, because it was also very complicated in the 1700s, Gustav III in the late 1770s introduced a monetary reform with a new Riksdaler. But the new Riksdaler would equal 48 shilling coins. So I don't have a 1 Riksdaler because it's a large expensive silver coin, but the closest to them I have right over here. So the 1 Riksdaler coin was divided into 48 shillings, and we can check out 1 shilling, an old shilling, because there is also a newer shilling. This is a 1 shilling from 1827-28. And you can see that they have the first Bernadotte king, Karl Johan the 14th, along with his motto, as you can see right here. So a 1 shilling coin. So for the Riksdaler, the old Riksdaler without addition, there were 48 of these coins for the 25-gram silver coin. But God, this is complicated. When the Riksdaler was name changed into the Riksdaler Specie, the old shilling coins stopped being a subdivision of or subdivision of the Riksdaler, and instead became a subdivision of the Riksdaler Banco banknotes instead. So I don't have a 1 shilling Banco, but I have a 2 shilling Banco. So 48 1 shilling Banco, or 24 of these, equaled a 1 Riksdaler Banco banknote. So but as I said, the exchange rate was different between the Specie coin and the Banco coins, and so god damn it. So they were no longer a subdivision of the Specie coins called shilling, but in theory 48 Specie shillings would equal like over 100, at least over 100, or I will do it like this. I will put the exchange rate in text above right now, so you can see what it is. But possibly like double, twice the amount, perhaps even more, perhaps even less. I can't remember right now. But I know that the Banco coins were worth less than the Specie coins, not being backed by silver, just banknotes, who were not backed by silver, I believe. So, well, let's say the theoretical Specie shillings, 48 Specie shillings would equal 96 or more Banco shillings. Screw that. Let's just move on. So, like I said, Gustav III in the late 1770s introduced the shilling reform, that the main coin was the Riksdaler divided into 48 shillings. Now, into practice, it wasn't implemented in practice until the turn of the century. So around 1802, the first actual shilling coins, and that's like over 20 years after the reform was enacted, the actual smaller denomination copper bronze shilling coins was produced. Until that point, we had, as I will show off later, the older, smaller denomination copper coins being used. And when the shilling was introduced in practice, they would just overprint the old coins with shilling markings. So until they could create entirely new coins. But prior into the Riksbank, the Bank of the Realm, Swedish state bank, produced the shillings. The Riksgäld, who produced the banknote only currency, which was done to finance wars, of course, produced these temporary shilling coins from 1798 until 1801 or 2. So these ones, since the bank couldn't get off their ass to actually produce shilling coins. The banknote commission created coins that lacked, well, they were just, they are tokens basically. They're tokens that equal half a shilling without having the proper metal value or size that they're supposed to have. Because you can see here's a half shilling, actual half shilling that eventually was produced, and a temporary half shilling created by the banknote commission because there was a lack of small denomination coins. As you can see, there is a mighty difference. Well, so the shilling 48 made a Riksdaler. There was the 1 shilling. There was the 2 shilling, which was the largest shilling denomination. But the shilling itself was divided into a half shilling. Here we have King Gustav IV Adolf. And it was further divided into a 4th shilling. Same king. You can see that they are imperfectly made due to the coinage technique at that time. So it's rather rare to find perfect coins since they were made using a sloppy technique. And all the way down to a 12th shilling. This was in Swedish called rundstycken. The absolute smallest of the smallest. This is King Carl the 13th, who only reigned for 8 or 9 years. So that's the smallest coins we will see here today. So that's the shilling coins, or the old shilling coins. Like I said, with all the complicated multiple currency stuff, when the shilling or Riksdaler Banco was introduced with the shilling Banco, we had one shilling Banco, 2 shilling Banco. We even had 4 shilling Banco at the time, at the very late, like 1840s, I believe, because eventually having heavy copper coins is rather well, it's very clumsy, and yeah, so they stopped doing that and introduced the ören instead, which the 10, 25 and 50 öre was small silver coins, and there were also 1, 2 and 5 öre, which was in copper or bronze. So there were even smaller non-silver coins. And like to complicate even more, the shilling Banco had weird subdivisions, like 2/3 of a shilling. Carl the 14th Johan, and 1/3, and I believe there is also a 1/6 of a shilling. So the shilling Banco coins was used from the 1830s, like 1832, until 1855. So just around a little about 20 years before being replaced by the öre. So, but before the temporary shillings and the proper shillings, we had these ones. This is not a government state issued currency. This is a Stora Kopparberg Polett token from 1790. It's by the company, the copper mining company in the center of Sweden, with a weapon of the province of Dalarna, which the main copper mine Falun was located. So this one would we haven't talked about it yet, but since we're on about it, it requires context. So this was an older copper coin. 1 öre, there is back, 1 öre copper coin or Kopparmynt. This one was the smallest denomination pre 1770s. So this was the absolute smallest coin. This one is from 1720, but the designs were similar all throughout the 1700s. So this one a little bigger. Also, it's around the same thickness, but it's bigger. So this one would equal 6 of those. So this would be, it doesn't have the denomination on it, but it equals 6 öre Kopparmynt or copper coins. Why do I mention copper coin like it would be a currency? Because it is a currency. Because going back to another round of complicated currency system in the 1700s, during to fluctuating and changing prices between silver and copper, the copper coins in the 1600s was originally supposed to be the copper coins subdivisions of the silver coins. So like 10 coins of copper would be like 1 silver or some such. Just an example. But since the copper prices and the silver prices changes, they had to like increase the prices, the differences between them, and so they ended up being separate currencies. Because the copper coins and the silver coins both had just öre on them. So the would be the 1 öre coin would be a copper coin, the 10 öre coin would be a silver coin. But the point was that 10 pieces of copper would equal the value, the silver price of 1 silver coin. But that didn't end up being the case because the copper was worth less than the silver. So that's why they started to actually minting a K and M on the coin, Kopparmynt, copper coin, to differentiate them from the silver coins or Silvermynt, which would have an SM on them. Well, let's finish off part 1. Well, you need the context, but I started going into part 2 without finishing part 1 first. But let's go for the main silver coins. These one I have both Riksdaler and Riksdaler Specie, which was the main silver coins from the 1770s until the 1850s. So this is the smallest silver coin, a 1/32nd piece of Riksdaler Specie, 1853, with a portrait of King Oscar. I might also mention that Sweden and Norway were in a personal royal union at the time, but the countries issued separate coin. As there were two formally different states. So while both had the same royal portrait, the currency would be different. Even in 1873, when both countries, or in the 1870s, where both countries introduced the krona, but a separate Swedish and Norwegian krona, but the silver level would be equal in both coins, so they were interchangeable in both two countries, despite being separate currencies. So this is a 1/16th Riksdaler Specie from 1848. This one is in a nice condition. Not perfect, but shiny and really good. King Oscar, which reigned from 1844 until 1860, I believe. He was the son of Carl XIV Johan. So here are some very new additions to my collections that I even have shown in the Swedish language videos of my collection. Another 1/16th of Riksdaler Specie. But did you notice the different coat of arms? Just the Swedish 3 crowns, a national symbol. It is his father, Carl XIV Johan. And well, we actually got 1/8 of a Riksdaler Specie. So this one is rather, well, the details aren't very like deeply minted in these coins, so they're rather easily wore off. So you can barely see the crowns, like probably maybe in some. It's very hard to notice them. So 1832, 1/8 of a Riksdaler Specie. So to translate before moving on, when the öre decimalization reform came about in 1855, you can see here that these two coins actually equals each other. So the 32nd Riksdaler Specie was remade into the 10 öre coin, which was both of them were the smallest silver coin in circulation. And the 16th Riksdaler Specie was remade into the 25 öre coin. And the 8th Riksdaler Specie was remade into the 50 öre coin. Half a crown, half of a krona. Because when Riksdaler Riksmynt was introduced, 1 Riksdaler Specie became 4 Riksdaler Riksmynt. So 1/4 of a Riksdaler Specie became 1 Riksdaler Riksmynt. So this is half of the eventual main currency, the krona. And again, I can bring about one krona from the 1920s. This is around half, and this is actually 80% silver. And this is around the same, or even more. So this is half that, the main currency. Here's another, it's a 24th Riksdaler Specie from 1810, with a hole in it for some reason, but well, it's a piece of history regardless of the damages. And being from 1810, check out what it says. Well, it's called the 13th, which reigned between 1810 and 1818. But as you can see, we have a 1/24th Riksdaler. This is a 1/32nd Riksdaler. And then we had a 1/16th and a 1/8th, and then there were 1/12th and so on. But not at the same time, because depending on which king ruled, the subdivisions of the Riksdaler changed. Like there were 1/24th, 1/12th, but nope, they start changing it. You had 1/32nd, 1/16th, 1/8th instead. Like when this was around, you had 1/24th, 1/12th, 1/6th, 1/3, 1/2 Riksdaler, and so on. So the subdivision changed a bit back and forth over time. Another 1/24th from 1779. So this was the currency reform, around the time of the currency reform of Gustav III. And here you can see his monogram. So the Riksdaler coins was, the silver coins was made already when the currency, the monetary reform was introduced. But the copper shilling coins would be delayed for another 20 years. But the silver coins was made pretty much instantly. And here you have the royal portrait of Gustav III, or Gustavus III in Latin. Rex Suecia, King of Sweden. And being around the time of the currency reform, you can actually see that this coins has its value listed in two currencies. It's 1/6 of a Riksdaler, but it's also 16 öre silver coins, or Silvermynt, which is the next topic in part 2. Well, I don't have that much coin left to show off for part 2. I don't own any older silver coins of the 1600s or the 1700s, except the ones I already shown off. So I will share a timestamp of when I explained the silver, copper coin, copper Silvermynt, exchange rate history stuff, because I don't want to repeat that. But I will give you a timestamp in order to check that out if you haven't already watched it. So to sum up, they were silver coins, Silvermynt, that was one currency, and the lowest denominations of the Silvermynt silver coins were actually in copper. And then there were copper coins, or Kopparmynt, coins that only existed in copper. And they were really only one denomination of the copper coin. That was the one copper coin. And this one from 1720, which equaled of this larger copper coin from 1790, which would equal 6 of these. So it would equal 6 copper coin or 6 Kopparmynt. Yes, you might notice and wondered it's from 1790s after the monetary reform, but you still use the old currency to calculate it. Yes, I know. But there were also from the copper company, mining company, there also existed more of these from early years, from the 1760s and the 1720s. Which was during the time where copper coins, Kopparmynt, was actually used as the currency. So how, and this in the Swedish language version of this video, was also a horrible headache to figure out the exchange rates between these. So I will correct it on screen if I get it wrong, but one silver coin, one Silvermynt equaled 3 copper coins, Kopparmynt. That was the exchange ratio. If not, I will put it on screen. Moving on. Back in the 1720s, we had this thing called the Great Northern War, in which Sweden went all out in a defensive war, but struck back against all its neighbors in war, which was very expensive. So emergency currency had to be issued. Now, $1, a thaler in English, in silver coin, would be a rather large silver coin. But this is an emergency coin that hopefully can, after the war, be exchanged back for actual silver when we won the war and there is silver. We lost the war, so people only got half back of what they were promised. So that's an emergency coin from the 1710s rather, 1718 or some such, I believe that was. But the rest of the 1700s then, you have the 1 öre Silvermynt, silver coin. This one is from 1735. This one is a large, heavy, thick silver copper coin in the currency of silver coin. Don't question it. It's King Frederick the First. There's only one King Frederick, so it's King Frederick. He was a German, so that's why Friedrich, probably original German name, but yeah. So this one would later equal in size and weight the half shilling coin, and they would overmint these coins to put a half shilling on them around 1802, 1803 and such. And there comes this bad boy. Yeah. I mean, Sweden is already famous for having one of the heaviest coins in world history, having the copper plate money. There's like several kilograms of just copper plate instead of using banknotes for some godforsaken reason. This is also King Frederick. And it's, holy shit, it's like 25 grams, 25 grams of copper. I mean, there's 25 grams of silver and gold and some such, but this is copper. Like, it's supposed to equal a silver coin in copper weight. That's why it's so heavy. It's supposed to, if 2 öre was in silver, this is how much it would weigh in copper. So instead of having silver, it's like 25 grams, a single coin. It's very heavy. So from 1759, no, it's not Frederick, it's his successor. This one, the other one, 1748. This one is King Frederick. Also a shitload heavy. No, but this one is King Adolf Fredrik, the father of Gustav III. Not the same dynasty. They changed their convoluted political stuff. Yeah. But this is the same currency denomination, just different kings. But they look pretty much the same. Now, I don't have much coins from this era, and I got several duplicates. But here, we go even further back. It's the 1600s. North America was barely even colonized at this point. It's a 1/4 or a 1/4 of an öre. And this is before they made the distinction between silver coins and copper coins. Kopparmynt, Silvermynt. It's just 1/4 of an öre. So this is one is from Queen Christina, one of 2 ruling queens since the 1500s in Sweden. Gustavus Adolphus' daughter. See if where the date is. It's right over there. So what does it say? I believe it says 1653. I believe that checks out. So and as with other coins, the coins were imperfect at this time, especially when they were made of cheap metals like copper. Like they were made with stamps and then just cut out. Which is why they are imperfect. So 1/4 of an öre. And I forgot that tangent. You might have wondered, daler, Riksdaler, Faler. What's up with the different, another different set of currencies? Yes, because before the Riksdaler was introduced in the 1770s, it replaced several older forms of silver currencies, silver coins, because you got just the dollar, the faler, And then you had mark coins. Both were silver coins, but depending on the mood of the current king and the government, some kings produced mark coins, some kings produced dollar coins, so they were both. And then there were the gold coins, the Caroline coins, and then there were the yeah. So yeah. So I mean, I believe it holds true for many countries there in that time, but the currency exchanges different currencies and their value in proportion to each other and all that is a very complicated subject. But thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something and that this video wasn't too annoying and disjointed. Thank you.